So, Blood, so you got to play this very obscure independent game from a foreign country, The Witcher, I guess. It's apparently the third part of some story, maybe getting a little bit of buzz here at the show.
Yeah,
Something you
unfortunately,
made,
I didn't get to play it myself, but
and
I
you
did
were
get to
somewhat
see.
anticipating this, we should say.
Yes, and I'm probably anticipating it more. There's only one thing about it that like kind of rubbed me slightly the wrong way, but
You have a tome of Witcher here. I don't even have to ask you questions.
I
Let's just get
I
through it.
seriously yeah. So the demo is 45 minutes long.
That's a
for
long
one.
time to watch a game at E3.
Yes, and it was a closed theater demo, and a lot of people packed in that room. Also, I gotta be quick. They delayed the thing by 15 minutes to get everybody beer because it was the last demo of the day. Like everybody that wanted a beer, there's like, you want a beer? Like, and then they kept bringing beers in for everybody. But anyways,
This sounds amazing.
yeah.
Did you get a beer?
I did not take a beer.
Oh.
No. But so it starts off outside of the city, Novigrad, which is a big city in the Witcher universe, and it's just like some other people got to see this part. They did release it on some other stages and stuff, but it was like you see like these gorgeous like sunflower seeds, like people working in the fields and stuff, and then he goes through the city gates, and there's just like all this bustling everywhere, and you see different parts of the city, and it feels sort of like an Assassin's Creed game, but with more character. I don't want to be sliding to Assassin's Creed, but I feel like like it wasn't like just a bunch of copy paste buildings everywhere. This is after the Griffin fight that we saw early on Microsoft stage, and he's delivering the trophy to this guy to get information. And the information the guy gives him is that the ashen-haired girl, which they're being really coy about, although we all know, like people that would know who she is. It's Ciri. She was seen with some like weird little boy that was like hiding in a hole or something like that. And Geralt is like, that doesn't sound like it's a boy. It sounds like it's this kind of creature, that kind of creature. And then the next thing they do is they show the fast travel system, because they're like, if we're gonna just go there, it would take us like 20 minutes to get there on horseback. Just giving the people a sense of like how big the world is. And then they go to this swamp. In the swamp, you see one of the like classic Witcher enemies are these drowners. They're kind of like zombies, but they have sort of like fishy elements to them. But what they showed off though was being able to kind of use the environment as an effect in battle. So he used the Ard sign, which is like a force push, and when he did that against the drowners, there were beehives there. And so then the bees were like stirred up, and they were causing you damage. They were causing the drowners damage, and like kind of distracting them a little bit. And then what was funny is after he killed the drowners, then he used the fire sign to like burn all the bees.
So the Witcher even hunts bees.
Yes, the Witcher hunts bees. So you find this Johnny is this kid's name, and he's this grubby little thing. They called him a godling. And he's like, oh, there's not many of you left, and like I don't know what a godling is, but he's interesting because he does look like a kid that's just been like muddied up for the most part, but then he has like these really big like owl eyes, and then like kind of stringy hair and like a rope with some twigs in it around his head, but he can't talk for whatever reason. He's lost his voice, but he still seems that he has actually a lot of charm for a speechless little kid. And so what you do is you find this harpy's nest, and these harpies had like magically stolen his voice, like the Little Mermaid or whatever. And you give him this vial, and he pops it open, and he has his voice back. And from there, you talk to this. He introduces you to this medium, which is where he saw the girl. And she has like this tapestry hanging in her house, and she like puts her hand up to it, and she starts speaking from these three sisters who you see like woven into the tapestry. And they're like, well, go to the alderman and help him out or whatever, and we'll tell you about the girl.
So this just to stop you for 2 seconds. This feels like a main story thing. You think this kid's probably
It's a main story thing that they intersect with all of these side story things.
Yeah, like the side story, the woman that was like, well, those guys came to drop off some potions or something, and you killed them, but I guess you can work with me now. That would be a side thing, whereas what you're explaining is more of a main story quest that there would be side stories off of, possibly.
Yeah, all of it kind of intersects. And then, so what's interesting though is, so when you agree to go see the alderman, they're like, well, make sure that he pays his price or whatever, and they give you this big weird looking dagger. And so that the alderman, he sends you up the hill. There's like some dark spirit or whatever that's been I don't know, like abducting people or making people disappear. I don't know if I have a note that actually I can remember exactly what it was. But basically, you go up the hill to deal with this thing. They run into a werewolf, and this werewolf is like 2 to 3 times the size of a man, and then when it howls, it like summons wolves, and wolves come in and attack you. And they were using the shield spell, which I think is pronounced Ken or Quen, which has been kind of overpowered in the last Witcher game, but now they've kind of toned it down. It has some negative effects, so even though it shields you, it can kind of still damage your health in some ways. But the werewolf apparently wasn't the thing. It was just, again, something that you came across on your way to the thing. And then you go into the hill, and he can't, for whatever reason, he can't burn his way through the roots. So you can kind of see what he's going for. So that's when they introduce being able to dive. So you dive underwater, and you go through this underground passage underwater, and you come up, and there's this weird pulsating thing that they call like a tree spirit. And it's like wrapped up in all of these roots. And they're like, and the tree spirit talks to you, and it's like, if you free me, I can save the children. And
this is all of a sudden sounding like a dream that you had last night.
So, but let me, because I kind of skipped over that. So one of the things that they pointed out when you were going away from the Three Sisters' house is that, that it looked like an orphanage because there were all these children around. And so that you're kind of making an association, but you don't really understand what they're talking about. Like, are they talking about the people that have been disappearing from this dark spirit or whatever? And so this is one of your places where you have a choice. It's like, do you trust the tree spirit, or do you trust all the people in town that said that there's something evil up here? And so they made the choice to say, like, no, I don't trust you. Everyone said you're evil or whatever. And then it makes some threatening remark that, like, now all of nature will be against you. And then these bugs come out, and you fight the bugs, and you kill the thing. And then you go out and you talk to the alderman, and you mentioned that, like, they said that you have to pay the price, and you give him the dagger. He goes over and he cuts off his ear, and he hands it to you.
There's a quest item.
Yeah, and then you get back to where the sisters are, and remember, again, we've only like heard them. It's just a medium, and he puts the ear on like this offering stone, and then these 3 big grotesque creatures come out, and these are the sisters. And I think you saw a glimpse of them in the trailer. There's like this weird baskets over their face and stuff, and one of them literally has these strings full of ears, and then like legs dangling off of her and stuff. And from there, you also notice that there's no more kids around. And then they start telling you about what happened with Ciri, and there's like a flashback, and you can kind of see that, like, there's something that happened there. But basically, what it looks like it comes down to, even though they didn't show the other choice, is that you in a sense have a choice of, you can either save these children, or you can get the information that you're desperately trying to get. So if you save the children, you're obviously going to cross the Three Sisters, and you're probably going to have to fight them as a boss battle or something, and not get that information and have to pick up that trail somewhere else. Not to mention, all this other stuff about, like, freaking, the world is beautiful. The audio design is pretty insane. Like, you hear this beast scatter by, like it's the hooves thudding into the ground and stuff. There's just like a lot of like density to the swamp, like all of these saplings and things. There's another part in the swamp where they were fighting like these water hags, and they were near like swamp gas. And you like cast a fire spell into swamp gas, and it just blows up.
That's cool.
So lots of cool stuff like that. I just really like appreciate like a lot of the little details they have in terms of like just how much variation there is in the vegetation. One of the things he told me in the interview was great, is that they had guys like go out into the woods at night to record sounds. So it's like, well, if you're gonna be out at night, like it's
Yeah.
gotta sound like night. Like the bugs and the birds aren't
Yeah.
gonna sound the same. And
Definitely.
so it's really impressive overall. The faces look incredible and everything.
Yeah, and we've definitely been able to tell that from the trailers, even though you've seen so much cool stuff from this game that none of us have seen. Even from last E3, there's still stuff that we haven't
Yeah,
seen, right?
nothing of last. I mean, there were shots that was in the last E3's demo in the trailers, but yeah, nobody's seen that chunk of gameplay, any of it.
So fast travel, how does this work? Can you just do it from a menu? Do you have to go there first?
You go to a signpost, and it sounds like, yeah, you can only fast travel to places that you've already been before. Although they kind of cheated it, for the purpose of the demo. They just had that point available for themselves.
And so signposts kind of mark famous locations or
Yeah,
places.
so just kind of like, when you see a signpost on the side of the road, like this city that far away, then that's where you can fast travel.
Is it a list? Do you look at a map and kind of move a cursor around to pick?
You look at a
place,
map,
or-
yeah. And they also showed some things like he kind of has like a clambering animation now, which was not something that I really think was in there before. I asked him about, well, why did you include stuff like diving? And I was like, well, it's just like, if you're going to be swimming and you can't dive, that's kind of lame. It's like, it's just like something that they naturally thought to do.
So you've kind of been our ambassador to The Witcher. We've learned so much about this game, for like, more than a year now from you, based on your accounts.
Well, and it's funny too because it's like now because I've seen so many of these demos and been to so many things, I walk in there and there's like 4 or 5 guys that are like saying hi to me. It's like they all recognize.
You're all
me.
going to go and hang out with each other. You'll remember all these years of yearning for The Witcher and learning all this private information. So we've kind of done a beat by beat of everything that happened in the demo.
Yeah, I did skim over a lot,
What really
too.
surprised you? What you were like, wow, I didn't know they were going to doing that.
I think in a way that this year wasn't as surprising to me. I guess the most surprising thing was the being able to use the environment as a combat tool, and looking for those kinds of opportunities. And the scale is still pretty off the charts, and it feels like almost like a cliche at this point where everyone's like if you see it, you can go to it, And in this one, it was like, you see that tree over there in the horizon? You can go to it. And the city where you just were is 14 times that distance away.
Yeah, that's pretty great. It's just a question of like managing that environment. Any other traversal options other than fast travel and your horse? Is that pretty fast travel on foot, horse?
Well, there's definitely boats.
Right.
And one of the things that they had shown last year is, you take a boat out in a storm and, it's not going to go well for you.
I saw that one shot in the trailer. Yeah, I think that was the one thing that really stunned me.
Yeah, and it does sound like there's, some dynamic elements to the weather, and that, people will react to the weather and all of that kind of thing. There's a lot of, I know that you kind of like the detail in terms of background dialogue, and like as they were just walking through the city, like you could hear like lots of funny comments and like, children telling gory stories to each other and things like that. It was like, oh, let's play Burn the Witch. You'll be the witch. It's like, I don't want to be the witch.
And we have a release date, right?
Yeah, February 24th.
God, this is killing me, man. I
Yeah.
mean, when's the next time we're going to see this game?
I would guess Gamescom. I don't know. See, Witcher is interesting because with 3, they've really held back. They've really like kept themselves back to very deliberate moments of revealing things. And as we said, like we have seen just only one big chunk of gameplay that's been made public. And I guess now 2, since they've been on some other stages with the city. But I feel like when Witcher 2 was getting close, that they kind of overkilled it on media. And then especially like afterwards and like with the enhanced edition, it was like, here's another trailer.
Yeah.
So I hope that they've kind of learned from that, and they're, that what we're seeing with The Witcher 3 will be kind of more metered out, even though it's a much bigger game. So,
Because I mean, you're a nice guy, Blood, and I enjoy speaking with you about this stuff, but this is killing me, man. I can't. I'm tired of talking to you,
right?
And just getting all these tidbits because it sounds amazing. Again, it sounded like some weird trippy dream you were having in some parts.
Yeah, and I think what I think stuck out to me the most is that, there's so much more to this game now, that even though it's still very much an RPG, it still has the potions and the preparation and bombs and all of that kind of thing. It feels much more like, something that somebody that's into an open world action game would also get into.
Sounds too good to be true. I guess we'll find out in 8 months, whether it's good or not. But thank you for checking out the super long demo and summing it up as, succinctly as you can. We'll find out more later.